All right, let's dive into some really cool research on neuroplasticity,
Yeah.
which is, how our brains change throughout our lives.
It's pretty fascinating stuff.
We're going to be talking about how we can actually use this to manifest the things we want,
Oh, cool.
based on the work of Dr. Tara Swart,
Okay.
who is a neuroscientist, psychiatrist, and a senior lecturer at MIT.
Wow.
She blends, like, hard science with these practices that a lot of people are familiar with, like vision boards and affirmations.
Right, right.
And we're going to break all of it down.
Awesome.
So first things first, neuroplasticity.
Yeah.
It's not just a buzzword.
Right.
What does it actually mean? Like, what does that mean for us in our daily lives?
Well, it means that your brain isn't this like fixed thing, you know? It's constantly being shaped and molded by everything you do, everything you think, all your experiences.
But we're not stuck with the brain we have. We can actually change it.
Absolutely. You have the power to train your brain
Wow.
to really thrive, not just survive, you know? And that's where Dr. Swart's work comes in.
Okay.
She talks about this idea of magnetic desire.
Magnetic desire.
Yeah, like this intense, really emotionally charged longing
Oh, okay.
that fuels real change in your life.
I can see that.
Like think about,
Yeah.
learning a new language, right?
Okay.
If you're just learning it for a quick trip
Right, right.
versus if you're learning it because you fell in love,
Uh-huh.
who do you think is going to be more motivated to really learn that language?
Yeah, the one in love for sure.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's that same kind of energy that we
Yeah.
need to bring to any goal we have.
So how do we tap into that? Like, how do we tap into that magnetic desire and start, like, actually rewiring our brains?
Well, she has this 4-step process.
Okay.
It's all backed by science, and it's really about manifestation.
Okay.
So the first step is raising awareness.
Okay. Yeah.
And that's about digging deep, like figuring out what you truly want,
Okay.
and then asking yourself why you want it.
Hmm.
You can journal, you can talk to a therapist.
Right, right.
Just be really honest with yourself.
Yeah, I think journaling is a great way to do that, personally. I
Absolutely.
know she talks about even putting your hands on your head,
Yes.
your heart and your gut,
It's powerful.
and asking that question, like, is this what I really want?
Yeah.
Writing down your response.
At each point.
Yeah, it's so interesting.
It's like you're trying to get your logical, emotional, and intuitive selves all on the same page.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's raising awareness.
Yeah.
What about number 2?
So number 2 is all about focused attention.
Okay.
So that's where you're going to observe yourself for at least a month.
Okay.
Really pay attention.
Yeah.
Are your actions actually aligning with what you said you want?
Uh-huh.
What are the things that are holding you back? What are your patterns? It's
Yeah.
almost like data collection
Yeah.
for real change.
Okay, so it's about paying attention to what we're actually doing, not just what we say we want.
Exactly. It's about that honesty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then step 3 is where we take action.
Okay.
We call this deliberate practice.
Deliberate practice.
Yeah, and it's about taking consistent action
Okay.
to support that goal. Like you're already achieving it.
That's great.
So you're experimenting, you're learning.
Right. And course correcting along the way, I imagine.
Yeah, for sure.
That's where the rubber meets the road.
Exactly, exactly.
Okay, so what about number 4? Like, how do we keep it going?
That's accountability.
Right? Yeah.
Staying on track, even when things get tough.
Oh, that's so important.
It is.
Especially if you're someone who, tends to lose motivation easily.
Totally.
Having an accountability partner is super helpful.
It really is, and there are apps.
Right.
Journaling is a great way to stay accountable, too.
Yeah, I love journaling.
She even shares her own micro-habit strategy,
Oh, cool.
but we can get into that a little later.
Okay, we'll save that.
Yeah.
Okay, now let's talk about vision boards,
Okay.
which I love, but Dr. Swart calls them action boards.
I like that.
Yeah.
Because it's really about more than just pretty pictures, right?
It's about aligning those pictures with action.
Yes, exactly.
It's not just about, like, daydreaming.
No, you got to do the work.
Right, so how does she say they work?
Well, the visualization helps prime your brain to see opportunities related to your goals.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right, like it's almost like you're training your brain to look for those things.
Okay.
But the real magic, she says,
Yeah.
is taking action
Right.
that's aligned with those visions.
It's like, okay, I've got this vision,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to go after it.
Exactly. Like she even recommends actually gluing the images down on the board as a sign of commitment.
Oh, wow.
Like you're really serious about it.
I can see that, yeah.
It's sending a clear message to the universe and to yourself.
That's great.
Now, what about intuition? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, for sure.
Like those gut feelings we get? Turns out those aren't just random.
Well,
They're actually a form of intelligence coming from all those experiences stored deep in our brains, and they're connected to our gut.
Okay.
Like, think about how when you're stressed, your stomach gets upset.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
There's a real connection there.
Yeah.
She says journaling can be really helpful for tuning into those gut feelings and understanding what they're trying to tell you.
That makes sense, yeah.
So pay attention to those little signals from your body. They can give you some great insights.
Okay.
Now, we got to talk about stress, too,
All right.
because it can really sabotage our dreams.
Yeah.
It can be like a silent killer.
How so?
When you're constantly stressed, your body's pumping out cortisol, which messes with your higher brain functions like creativity and problem solving.
Yeah.
And of course, it affects your physical health too.
Right.
So things like mindfulness practices.
Yeah. Things like meditation or yoga. Yeah.
Anything that helps you relax.
And spending time in nature, I've found, is really helpful.
Nature is amazing.
Yeah.
Now, here's something a lot of people don't realize.
Okay.
Stress is contagious.
What?
Yeah. Just, how periods can sync up?
Right.
Stress levels can too, especially from people who are like in positions of power.
Oh, wow.
So learning to manage your own stress and really understanding where it's coming from is so important for protecting yourself.
Because it can feel like their stress is almost like a virus, right? Like it's spreading to those around them.
Totally.
Okay.
And then, of course, the people you surround yourself with have a huge impact on you.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I mean, your mindset, your behavior, everything.
It's like that saying, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Exactly.
You really got to choose your tribe wisely.
Absolutely.
Now, before we move on to some more juicy stuff about rewiring your brain for abundance, if you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness,
Ooh, I like that.
we've linked some really powerful tools down in the description.
Oh, nice.
Be sure to check those out. They're really designed to help you reach your goals.
That's awesome.
Okay, so now back to Dr. Swart.
Okay.
She highlights this really important thing about balancing our brain's natural negativity bias.
Oh, right.
That tendency to focus on what could go wrong.
Like our brains are kind of wired to focus on the negative, right?
Right. Remember that loss aversion we talked about? It's hardwired into us, for survival.
Yeah.
But in today's world, it can actually hold us back from taking risks and pursuing our dreams.
Absolutely. Like our brains are still in caveman mode sometimes.
Right.
Even though we don't have to worry about being chased by saber-toothed tigers anymore.
Exactly.
So how do we shift that balance towards abundance?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, right?
Right. And Dr. Swart suggests a super powerful technique, gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah, when we consciously focus on what we're grateful for. Okay.
We can actually retrain our brains
Oh, wow.
to see the positive and attract more abundance into our lives.
So it's about shifting our perspective from scarcity to abundance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the more we practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's like building a muscle,
Yeah, I like that analogy.
Now, it's not enough to just think positive thoughts.
Right.
We also need to align our actions with our desired outcomes.
So it's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Exactly. And this is where that 4-step manifestation process we talked about earlier comes in.
Okay.
By raising awareness, focusing attention, engaging in deliberate practice, and holding ourselves accountable. We create a powerful cycle that propels us towards our dreams.
It's like a snowball effect.
Exactly. She even shares a personal story about manifesting financial success early in her coaching career.
Oh, cool.
She visualized the exact amount of money she wanted to earn.
Yeah.
And then took consistent action to build her business. So she didn't just sit around and visualize, she actually put in the work.
Exactly. And that's a key takeaway for everyone listening.
Yeah.
Manifestation isn't about magic.
Right.
It's about aligning your thoughts, actions, and energy with your desired outcomes.
It's about taking control of your brain and your life.
Exactly. And remember, there are powerful tools available to support you on this journey. If you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness, be sure to check out the links in the description.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so now let's move on to something that I think a lot of people struggle with.
Okay.
Making big changes all at once.
Right.
It can be really overwhelming.
Yeah.
So Dr. Swart suggests breaking things down into micro habits.
Micro habits.
Yeah, these tiny, manageable habits that you can easily incorporate into your daily life.
Yeah.
It's like instead of trying to climb a mountain all at once,
Right.
you focus on taking one step at a time
Right.
consistently.
Okay. And those small steps eventually add up to big changes.
Exactly. Like the saying goes, small hinges swing big doors.
Love that.
She gives this great example about wanting to improve your relationship with your partner.
Okay.
Instead of aiming for some grand gesture, she suggests focusing on micro habits, like leaving a loving note every morning.
Oh, that's cute.
Or expressing gratitude for something they did.
Right.
These small acts of kindness and appreciation, repeated consistently, can really strengthen the bond and create a more loving and fulfilling relationship.
It's the little things that make a big difference.
Exactly. Right. And she applies this concept to personal growth, too.
Oh.
Like, if you want to become more confident, you could start by practicing a micro habit of standing tall with your shoulders back for just a few minutes each day. That little adjustment can actually boost your self-esteem.
Oh, wow.
And project an aura of confidence.
I like that.
And remember, the key to success with micro habits is consistency.
Yeah. You got to make them a non-negotiable part of your routine.
Yes.
Exactly.
Okay, now let's talk about positive affirmations.
Oh, yeah.
Which aren't just like these feel-good slogans.
Right. There's real science behind them.
They're actually scientifically proven to shift your mindset and create lasting change, which I think is really cool.
It is really cool how they work.
So how do they work?
Well, Dr. Swart explains that our brains are constantly bombarded with negative self-talk.
Oh, yeah.
And limiting beliefs.
That's like having a negative roommate in your head.
Totally. And positive affirmations are like the antidote to that negativity.
Okay.
By consciously repeating these positive statements about ourselves,
we
can actually reprogram our subconscious minds and create new, more empowering beliefs.
So it's about replacing those negative thoughts with positive ones.
Exactly. But here's the thing. They work best when they're personalized and aligned with your specific goals and values.
Right. It's not just about repeating generic affirmations like, I am successful.
No, it's got to be more specific than that. So, for example, if someone struggles with imposter syndrome and always doubts their abilities, a powerful affirmation could be, I am capable and deserving of success.
Exactly.
Okay, and how do you recommend using them? Like, how do you incorporate them into your life?
Well, you can write them down in your journal. You can record them on your phone and listen to them throughout the day.
Right.
You can even just say them out loud while looking in the mirror. The more you expose your brain to these positive statements, the more they'll sink in and become part of your subconscious programming.
It's like brainwashing yourself with positivity.
Exactly. But in a good way.
Yeah, for sure.
And don't forget to feel the emotion behind the affirmation as you repeat it.
Oh, that's a good tip.
It's not just about saying the words, it's about embodying the feeling of what it would be like to truly believe those words.
Right, so almost like acting as if.
Exactly. Now, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the connection between the brain and the gut.
Oh, yeah, I'm fascinated by this.
It's really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Dr. Swart dives into the science behind intuition.
Okay.
And explains that our gut feelings are more than just hunches.
Right.
They're based on a vast network of neurons in our digestive system that communicate with our brains.
So there's like a whole other brain down there.
It's often called our second brain.
Wow.
And it plays a huge role in our emotional and mental well-being.
It's like a symbiotic relationship, right?
Yeah.
A healthy gut supports a healthy brain, and vice versa.
Exactly. Like, think about how when you're stressed or anxious, you often get stomach aches or indigestion.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
That's a clear sign that your gut and brain are talking to each other.
Yeah, I definitely get that.
She suggests paying attention to those gut feelings, even if you can't logically explain them.
So sometimes our intuition knows things that our conscious minds haven't yet grasped.
Exactly. She encourages journaling to help connect with and understand those gut feelings.
Journaling, again, it's like the Swiss Army knife of self-improvement.
Right. It's such a versatile tool.
Okay, so we're paying attention to those gut feelings, journaling about them.
Yeah.
What else can we do to, like, strengthen our intuition?
Well, here's a fascinating fact. The health of our gut microbiome.
Okay.
All those trillions of bacteria living in our digestive system can actually impact our brain function.
Wow.
And even our moods.
Really?
Yeah.
So what we eat can affect how we feel?
Absolutely. It's like a whole ecosystem down there.
That's incredible.
She recommends incorporating fermented foods.
Okay.
Like yogurt, kefir, and sauerkraut into your diet.
Got it.
To support a thriving gut microbiome.
So those probiotics are good for our brains, too.
They are. It's all connected.
Okay, now let's talk about stress, which we've touched on a little bit.
Stress is a big one.
It can really wreak havoc on our bodies and minds, right?
Absolutely.
So what are some of the detrimental effects of stress that we should be aware of?
Well, when we're chronically stressed, Our bodies release cortisol, which is the fight or flight hormone. And while cortisol is essential for short bursts of energy in response to danger.
Yeah, like if we need to run away from a bear or something.
Exactly. But prolonged exposure to high levels of cortisol can suppress our immune system.
Oh, wow.
Disrupt our sleep. Yeah. And even increase our risk for chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes.
That's scary.
It is. And as we discussed earlier, chronic stress can also impair our brain function.
Right, making it harder to focus, learn, remember things, and make good decisions.
Exactly. It's like our brains get stuck in survival mode, unable to access the higher level thinking that we need for creativity, innovation, and problem solving.
So managing stress isn't just about feeling better emotionally. It's also about protecting our physical health and our cognitive abilities.
Exactly. And there are so many great tools available to help us manage stress.
Like what?
Well, mindfulness practices like meditation, yoga, and deep breathing are incredibly helpful.
Right.
For calming our nervous systems and reducing our stress response.
They help us shift from fight or flight to rest and digest.
Exactly. And regular exercise is also a fantastic stress reliever.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
When we move our bodies, we release endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects.
I love that feeling after a good workout.
Right. And exercise can help us sleep better, which is another crucial factor in stress management.
Absolutely. And speaking of sleep, prioritizing a consistent sleep schedule and creating a relaxing bedtime routine are essential for regulating our stress hormones.
Yes. It's not just about getting enough sleep, it's about getting good quality sleep.
Right. Creating a sleep sanctuary that promotes deep, restful sleep.
Exactly. Now, remember how we talked about stress being contagious?
Yeah, that was wild.
Well, Dr. Swart goes into more detail about how this actually works.
Okay.
Our brains are incredibly social, and we're constantly picking up on subtle cues from those around us,
Right.
including their emotional states.
If we're around stressed out people, our brains tend to mirror that stress response.
Exactly. And this is especially true if those stressed out individuals are in positions of power.
Like our bosses or our parents.
Exactly. Think about a tense family dinner or a high-pressure work meeting.
Oh, yeah.
The stress levels of the leader in those situations can significantly impact the stress levels of everyone else present.
So it's not just about managing our own stress. It's also about being mindful of the stress levels of those we interact with.
Precisely. So the question becomes, how can we protect ourselves from this stress contagion?
Right, because we can't always avoid stressful situations or people.
True, but there are steps we can take to build resilience and minimize the negative impact of stress on our minds and bodies.
Like what? Give us some practical tips.
Well, we already mentioned mindfulness practices, exercise, and sleep.
Right.
But another powerful tool for combating stress is gratitude.
Gratitude again. I'm sensing a theme here.
It's really that powerful. When we practice gratitude, our brains release dopamine and serotonin, which are neurotransmitters associated with pleasure and happiness.
So gratitude literally shifts our brain chemistry to a more positive state.
Exactly. And this shift in brain chemistry helps to reduce the production of cortisol, the stress hormone.
Oh, wow. So it's like a double whammy. Gratitude boosts positive emotions while simultaneously lowering stress levels.
Precisely. And the more we practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes for our brains to focus on the positive aspects of our lives.
Even in challenging situations.
Exactly. It's like we're training our brains to see the good instead of dwelling on the negative.
I love that.
And speaking of training our brains, another important aspect of stress management is setting boundaries.
Boundaries, yes. Because we can't always control the stress levels of those around us.
Right.
But we can control how much we allow their stress to impact us.
Exactly. It's essential to learn to say no to commitments that drain our energy and to prioritize our own well-being.
And sometimes setting boundaries might involve having difficult conversations with people who are constantly adding to our stress load.
It's not always easy, but it's crucial for our long-term health and happiness.
Okay, so now I want to circle back to something we talked about earlier. Intuition.
Ah, yes, the wisdom of the gut.
Exactly. It's such a fascinating topic, and I'm curious to hear more about Dr. Swart's insights.
Well, she dives deep into the science behind it, explaining that our gut actually contains a vast network of neurons.
Right. We talked about that second brain.
Exactly. And the second brain is in constant communication with our brains.
And that communication plays a crucial role in our emotional well-being, our decision-making processes, and even our immune function.
It's all connected.
Wow. So a healthy gut is truly essential for a healthy mind and body.
Absolutely. And when we talk about intuition, we're really talking about the wisdom that emerges from this gut-brain connection.
It's like our gut has access to a deeper level of knowing.
Yes. And Dr. Swart emphasizes the importance of learning to trust those gut feelings, even when we can't logically explain them.
It's about honoring that inner voice.
Exactly. Now, one of the most effective ways to strengthen our intuition is through journaling.
Journaling again? I knew it!
I told you, it's the best.
It's like the magic bullet for everything.
Right. But seriously, when it comes to intuition, journaling helps us connect with and understand those subtle gut feelings that we might otherwise dismiss.
By writing down our intuitive insights, we can start to see patterns and gain valuable self-awareness.
Exactly. And here's a pro tip. When you're journaling about your intuition, try to describe the physical sensations you experience in your gut.
So instead of just saying, I had a bad feeling about that, I might write, I felt a knot in my stomach when I thought about that decision.
Exactly. By paying attention to those physical sensations, we can learn to better discern our intuitive whispers from other thoughts and emotions.
It's like we're creating a language for our gut feelings.
Precisely. Now, another fascinating aspect of the gut-brain connection is the role of the gut microbiome.
Right, all those trillions of bacteria living in our digestive systems.
Exactly. And research is showing that the health of our gut microbiome can significantly impact our brain function and even our moods.
So taking care of our gut health isn't just about digestion. It's also about supporting optimal brain function and emotional well-being.
Precisely. And one of the best ways to nurture a thriving gut microbiome is through our diet.
Right, we talked earlier about Dr. Swart's recommendations for brain-healthy foods.
Exactly. And many of those same foods are also incredibly beneficial for our gut health.
Like fermented foods, which are rich in probiotics.
Yes. Foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, and kombucha are all excellent sources of probiotics.
And Dr. Swart also emphasizes the importance of eating plenty of fiber.
Absolutely. Fiber acts as food for those beneficial gut bacteria.
So by incorporating these gut-friendly foods into our diets, we're not only supporting our digestive health, we're also nourishing our brains and enhancing our overall well-being.
It's all connected.
Now, before we wrap up part 1 of this deep dive,
oh, yes.
If you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness,
ooh, good one.
We've linked some really powerful tools down in the description.
Awesome.
Be sure to check those out.
Definitely.
They're designed to help you reach your goals.
I love that. And speaking of people, Dr. Swart also talks about how important it is to choose your tribe wisely.
Right. The people we spend the most time with really have a huge impact on us.
They really do.
On our thoughts, our behaviors, even our health.
It's true. She mentions like these statistics about social contagion.
Social contagion, okay.
Yeah, like did you know if someone in your social circle gets divorced, you're statistically more likely to get divorced too.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
It's so interesting.
It's not like divorce is contagious like a virus.
Right.
But when you see someone in your tribe make a big life change, it can shift your perspective on what's possible in your own life.
Oh, I can see that.
Yeah. So, if you're surrounded by people who are constantly stressed.
Right.
Or unhealthy or negative.
Yeah.
It's going to be harder to break free from those patterns.
And create a life you love.
Exactly.
So the opposite must be true too, then.
Yes, exactly.
If you're surrounding yourself with people who are more positive and supportive and driven, then you're more likely to adopt those mindsets as well.
Their energy and habits will rub off on you.
It really is true that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
I love that quote.
Yeah.
Now, you might be thinking, okay, this all sounds great in theory, but can anyone really change?
Right.
And Dr. Swart says absolutely yes.
She believes that no matter what.
Yeah, no matter your age, background, or current mindset.
Change is possible.
Change is always possible because of neuroplasticity.
Because of that brain plasticity. That's amazing.
It is. But she does say the biggest barrier is often lack of desire.
Interesting. So it's not ability, but willingness.
Exactly. She tells this really interesting story about a client who wanted to get back into running, but felt guilty about taking time away from his family.
Right. I think that's a really common thing, especially for parents.
Yeah, we prioritize others' needs over our own, especially when it comes to self-care.
It's so easy to feel guilty.
It is.
About taking time for ourselves.
Yeah, but Dr. Swart helped this client see
Okay.
that taking care of his health would actually make him a better father and husband.
Because he'd be around longer and have more energy for
Exactly. So it's not selfish to prioritize your own well-being.
Right. It's actually an act of love.
It is, and that leads to a really powerful question that she asks.
Okay, what is it?
When was the last time you were truly seen for who you want to be?
Wow. That's a really good question.
It makes you think, right?
It does.
Are you living in alignment with your true self?
Yeah.
Or are you trying to please other people?
That's a great question for everyone to ask themselves.
It is.
And once you identify that moment when you felt truly seen, what's the next step?
Well, then you ask yourself, what's the first small step I can take to get back to that feeling?
So it's about taking action, even if it's just a tiny step.
Exactly.
We've covered a lot of ground.
We have.
It can be kind of overwhelming, all this information.
It can.
Especially when it comes to manifesting our dreams.
It can feel like trying to climb a mountain.
Right.
But that's where those micro habits we talked about come in.
Okay.
Instead of focusing on the summit, which can be daunting, break down the climb into manageable steps.
One step at a time.
Exactly. Focus on taking one step at a time consistently, and you'll get there.
Consistency is key.
It really is.
And remember, there are tools available to help you along the way.
There are.
If you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness, be sure to check out the links in the description.
Yes, definitely check those out.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
And talk about something else Dr. Swart dives into. The connection between stress and belly fat.
Oh, this is an interesting one.
Wait, so you're saying stress can actually make you gain weight?
It can, especially in the abdominal area.
Why is that?
Well, when we're stressed, our bodies release cortisol.
Right, the fight or flight hormone.
Exactly. And cortisol signals our bodies to store fat.
Oh, no.
Particularly around the belly.
So even if you're eating healthy and exercising, stress can still sabotage your weight loss efforts.
It can. It's like our bodies are in survival mode holding on to those fat reserves.
Wow, that's crazy.
It is. So managing stress isn't just about feeling better. It's also about maintaining a healthy weight.
It's about protecting our long-term health.
Exactly. And you might be wondering why belly fat in particular.
Yeah, why belly fat?
Well, the fat cells in our abdominal area have more receptors for cortisol than fat cells in other parts of the body.
So they're like magnets for stress hormones.
Exactly. And this type of fat, called visceral fat, is especially dangerous.
How so?
Because it surrounds our vital organs and increases our risk for chronic diseases like heart disease and type 2 diabetes.
Okay, so managing stress is even more important than I thought.
It really is.
It's not just about feeling good. It's about our overall health and well-being.
Exactly.
Okay, now we were talking about stress being contagious before.
We were.
But I thought that was more about behaviors, like divorce.
Yeah.
Are you saying we can actually catch stress from other people like it's a cold?
It's not exactly like catching a cold, but our brains are very social.
Okay.
And we're constantly picking up on cues from the people around us, including their emotional states.
So if we're around someone who's stressed, our brains might start to mirror that stress response.
Exactly. And this is especially true when those stressed out people are in positions of power.
Like bosses or parents.
Yes. Think about a tense family dinner or a high-pressure work meeting.
Oh, yeah. I can feel my stress levels rising just thinking about it.
Right. So it's not just about managing our own stress. It's also about being aware of the stress levels of the people we're interacting with.
And trying to minimize our exposure to those who are constantly stressed out.
Right.
So how do we protect ourselves from this stress contagion?
Well, there are a few things we can do.
Yeah.
Mindfulness practices like meditation, yoga, and deep breathing can help calm our nervous systems.
Right. Those help us shift from fight or flight to rest and digest.
Exactly. And regular exercise is also a great stress reliever.
Yeah, for sure.
It releases endorphins, which have mood-boosting effects.
I always feel so much better after a good workout.
Me too.
Yeah.
And exercise can also help us sleep better, which is crucial for managing stress.
Absolutely. And creating a relaxing bedtime routine can make a big difference too.
Yes. It's about creating a sleep sanctuary that promotes deep, restful sleep.
Okay, so mindfulness, exercise, sleep. What else?
Gratitude.
Gratitude again. It really is the magic bullet.
It is. When we practice gratitude, our brains release dopamine and serotonin, which are associated with pleasure and happiness.
Right, so it shifts our brain chemistry to a more positive state.
Exactly. And this shift in brain chemistry actually helps reduce cortisol production.
So it's a win-win. Gratitude boosts positive emotions and lowers stress levels.
Exactly. The more we practice gratitude, the more natural it becomes for our brains to focus on the good.
Even in challenging situations.
Yes, we're training our brains to see the positive.
I love that.
Now, another important aspect of stress management is setting boundaries.
Right, because we can't always control the stress levels of others, but we can control how much we let their stress affect us.
Exactly. It's essential to learn to say no to commitments that drain our energy and prioritize our own well-being.
And sometimes setting boundaries might involve having tough conversations with people who are constantly adding to our stress load.
It's not always easy, but it's so important for our long-term health and happiness.
Now, I want to shift gears a little bit and talk more about intuition.
Okay, the gut-brain connection.
Yeah, it's so fascinating to me, and I'm curious to hear more about Dr. Swart's insights.
She really goes deep into the science behind it,
Okay.
explaining that our gut contains this vast network of neurons, sometimes called our second brain.
Right, we touched on that earlier.
We did, and the second brain is in constant communication with our brain up top.
And that communication affects our emotional well-being, our decision-making, even our immune function.
It really is all connected.
Wow, so a healthy gut is essential for a healthy mind and body.
Absolutely. And intuition is basically the wisdom that comes from this gut-brain connection.
It's like our gut has access to this deeper level of knowing that our conscious mind sometimes misses.
Exactly. And Dr. Swart emphasizes the importance of learning to trust those gut feelings.
Even when we can't explain them logically.
Yes, it's about honoring that inner voice.
Which can be hard sometimes.
It can, but journaling can help.
Journaling, of course.
Right. It helps us connect with and understand those subtle gut feelings.
By writing them down, we can start to see patterns.
Exactly. And you know what's helpful? When you're journaling about your intuition, try to describe the physical sensations you're feeling. So instead of saying, I had a bad feeling about that, you might write, I felt a knot in my stomach when I thought about that decision.
That makes sense. We're giving those feelings a language.
Exactly. We're learning to interpret the messages from our gut more accurately.
Okay, so journaling, paying attention to physical sensations, anything else we can do to strengthen our intuition.
Well, there's the gut microbiome.
Right, all those trillions of bacteria in our gut.
Yes, and research is showing that the health of our gut microbiome can have a big impact on our brain function and even our moods.
So taking care of our gut health isn't just about digestion, it's also about supporting our brain and our emotional well-being.
Exactly, it's all connected.
So how do we take care of our gut microbiome?
Well, diet is a big one.
Right, what we eat matters.
It really does.
Dr. Swart recommended some brain-healthy foods earlier. Do those help our gut too?
A lot of them do, yeah.
Like fermented foods?
Yes. Foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi, kombucha, all those are great sources of probiotics.
And those probiotics help support a healthy gut microbiome.
They do. And Dr. Swart also talks about the importance of fiber.
Fiber, okay.
It acts as food for those beneficial gut bacteria.
So by eating gut-friendly foods, we're not just supporting our digestion, we're also nourishing our brains and enhancing our overall well-being.
Exactly. And before we wrap up this part of our deep dive,
Yes.
if you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness.
Ooh, those are good ones.
We've linked some powerful tools in the description. Be sure to check those out.
They're designed to help you reach your goals.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we talked about the science, the gut-brain connection, all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But what about some of those more, I don't know, visual techniques?
Oh, right, like vision boards.
Yes, vision boards.
Which Dr. Swart calls action boards.
I like that.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder that it's not just about making a pretty collage.
Right, it's about taking action.
Exactly. She really emphasizes that.
So how does she say they work? Like, what's the science behind them?
Well, she says the visualization part helps prime your brain to notice opportunities that are related to your goals.
Okay, so it's like you're training your brain to be on the lookout for those things.
Exactly. But the real magic, she says, comes from taking aligned action.
So it's not enough to just put pictures on a board and hope for the best.
No, you got to do the work.
Right, you have to actually go after those things you want.
Exactly. And she even has this interesting tip about not gluing down the images until you're absolutely certain about them.
Oh, why is that?
Because sometimes we might initially feel drawn to certain images, but then later realize they don't actually resonate with our deeper desires.
Oh, that's interesting.
It's like a gut check for your vision board.
I like that.
And when you finally do glue those images down, it's like this powerful act of commitment.
Okay, so it's about being really intentional with what you put on your board.
Exactly.
Now, speaking of commitment, Dr. Swart also talks a lot about accountability.
Oh, yeah, that's huge.
Like, how do we actually stay on track with all of this, rewiring our brains, taking action, all that?
Well, it's easy to get discouraged or sidetracked, right?
Right, especially when you hit a roadblock.
Exactly. So having an accountability partner can be really helpful.
Oh, for sure.
Or using apps or journaling regularly.
Yeah, I love journaling.
Me too. And even when we slip up or face setbacks, it's important to remember that we can always course correct.
We can always get back on track.
Exactly. Manifestation is a journey, not a destination.
It's about progress, not perfection.
That's a good way to put it.
But it can all feel a little overwhelming sometimes,
It can.
Like, where do you even begin with all of this?
Well, that's where those micro habits we talked about can be so helpful.
Okay, right. Breaking things down into smaller steps.
Exactly. Instead of trying to make massive changes overnight.
Which can feel really daunting.
Yes. Focus on taking one small step at a time, consistently.
Consistency is key.
It really is.
And, as we've been talking about all these different techniques and tools, it's important to remember that we have the power within us to create the lives we want.
That's so true.
If you're looking to manifest love, wealth, or happiness, we've linked some powerful tools in the description.
Oh, great.
Be sure to check those out.
Yes, they're designed to help you reach your goals.
Absolutely. And, Dr. Swart's work is really all about empowering people.
It is.
To tap into their own incredible potential.
She wants people to realize they can create real change.
And it's not about magic or wishful thinking.
No.
It's about understanding how your brain works. And then using that knowledge to consciously create the change you want.
It's about taking control.
Exactly. So the biggest takeaway for me from all of this is that we have the power to rewire our brains for abundance.
We really do.
By embracing practices like gratitude, mindfulness, positive affirmations.
Right.
Surrounding ourselves with supportive people, we can create lives filled with joy, purpose, and abundance.
And most importantly, believe in yourself.
Yes, belief is so powerful.
It is. You have the power to manifest amazing things.
Our journey starts now.
What will you manifest today?